Hey there, guys, and welcome back to Get Going Fast, place where we're getting into this excellent hobby of AI and hopefully kind of a quick manner in which you can learn something. So, we have been playing with Wan2.1. It is fantastic. It's all over the place. The quality here has reached the level of using Kling or Luma or whatever. Each one of these videos that you see here, I made in about a minute and a half. Okay. So just incredible quality that we're looking at. Now, in the last video that we ran, we went ahead and I got you going on the ComfyUI version. Okay. So I understand not everyone knows how to use ComfyUI and is comfortable with that. So we're also going to go through the Gradio app version, which they have. But I'm going to warn you right off the bat that the Gradio app version is not optimized like the ComfyUI. And what I mean by that is that when we use the ComfyUI version, there's a fellow named Kijai that he's just epic, okay? And he takes these models like they come out in like same day almost. He has he's quantized them, which means he's made them smaller so that they can run on multiple computers, and made it so that they run faster. Okay, we're going to do a Gradio app that is not optimized. All right, so it's going to really work on 24 gigabytes of VRAM, possibly your 16 gigabytes. You're not going to get lower than that, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do image to video. It's just out of our range. Okay, I can't do the image to video with the Gradio app, but what this is going to do is it's going to get you in the game of doing text to video. Okay, which is incredible. And it does have a prompt enhancer, so you can just type some smaller thing in there. You might have to wait a couple minutes for it to process it, but it's going to come up with some nice prompts for you to use. Okay, so very cool. We're going to get you in the game and we're going to hopefully get you going fast. Okay. But before we do that, I do want to thank you for liking the channel, subscribing to it, liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, telling people about it. Setting that notification so I know it's still wintertime, you're in bed and you're snuggled up to your woman, it's all cold, but you hear that bell go off and you go, oh my God, it's time to get going fast. Give her a kiss on the cheek, say, hun, I'm sorry, I got to go sit in this ice box of a room on the computer because I'm that dedicated. And that's what I like about you so much, your dedication. So thank you very much for that. I do also want to encourage you to check out Jim Day and the Better Stories over here on Spotify, iTunes, Google Music, iHeart, all that stuff. And check out the music that we're working on here. So this is obviously fun stuff. Love the music. You can also check out daysinging.com, which is our music page where you can get access to our albums. And as well, I used to run a little web show here. So we've got episodes of the Jim Day Show, which would be great. Check it out. Let me know what you think. All right. So in the meanwhile, though, we're going to go ahead and move on with Wan2.1, get you guys creating excellent stuff that is on the level of Kling and Luma and all this stuff under. So we have truly rounded a corner in this exciting time. So let's get to it. Yo. All right, so as usual, we're going to pop on over to our browser, and we're going to be looking for this repository. Now, last time we did in our last video with ComfyUI, we popped it here, but then we went over to find the Kijai version. But for this one, we're actually going to use this repository, and to find it, we just do a Google search for Wan2.1 GitHub, and it's going to bring up this one here. Wan Video is the name, and it's got Wan2.1, and it's going to bring us up to here. Now, I want to encourage you that this repo is a little confusing as the directions are not straightforward. They're kind of all over the place. And I want to point out they're using 4 different models here. So notice it's got the T2V is going to mean text to video. I2V is going to mean image to video. And then you're going to notice that you got 14 billion parameter models, 14 billion, 14 billion. And we're going to be using the 1.3 billion. Guys, even with a 4090, you're not going to be using your 14 billion model parameters on this, okay? It's just not going to work. Even with this image to video, it's not going to work. If you're going to do image to video, you're going to need to get into the ComfyUI version, which you can follow the video for. as well. The installer for that can be found over here on the getgoingfast.pro page. You can just get this and click on install. And what we're about to do here, also, we have, if you just want to get it going, you don't want to use ComfyUI, but you want to try it, the Gradio app. We also have getgoingfast.pro and installer here, which you can get. Actually, this is just, I put this out here for Prairie Dogs. This is like a $5 membership for that one, because I want you guys to get into this. Okay. So at any rate, we're going to go through this. We're going to be looking at the 1.3 billion parameter model and following these instructions. Okay. Like I said, it's kind of confusing. You're going to notice they're going to have instructions that we need, but they're going to have things like this, 14 billion. We're going to have to change some of this stuff out to get this working. Okay. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So the instructions here, you're going to notice they don't have really any installation instructions on here. They kind of do. You got the git clone, and then they get you in there and they have you install the requirements. But I'm going to tell you that's not enough to get this to work. So there's a bunch of stuff we're going to have to do. If you scroll down here, all this other stuff is basically just how to run it. So let's start up. Where did we go? Let's start up here with the installation. But again, this is not a satisfying installation, so you're going to have to follow my steps on this. First of all, let's just go ahead and copy this version here, this git clone. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually get all of these files here, okay, and download them onto our computer. So let's get over to our command line, and I'm going to go ahead and I've got a temp directory, so I'm just going to type cd temp. Now you would probably just do something like this, make directory, and then just call it Wan2.1 or something like that. I guess we could do that. Let's just make a directory called Wan2.1. And then I'm going to type cd Wan2.1. That means change directory. We're going to go in there. I'll hit CLS, clear my screen. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste this into there. And what we're going to do is it's going to download that directory. Now I am going to tell you straight off the bat, you need to have CUDA 12 plus installed in this. We're going to be working with CUDA 12.6, but go watch my videos if you don't completely understand what CUDA is, okay? I like to say it like this. You have big CUDA. That's what we install on our system to get our drivers and all that stuff working. Big CUDA, okay? And that doesn't matter. You can have 12.8, you can have 12.6. It doesn't matter. That's big CUDA. That's like a factory. Then we're going to be installing what's called the CUDA toolkit. The CUDA toolkit is like a pipeline. It's a road which goes to the factory, right? So you have like the factory, and then you've got CUDA Avenue, okay? That's what was the CUDA toolkit. So we're going to be using the toolkit 12.6. And to do that, we need to have CUDA 12.8 or 12.6 installed. And the reason is because we're going to be installing accelerators that are going to make this work better, flash attention, and this sort of thing. And we need that, okay? So going back in here, side note, if you don't have that, go watch the video on how to upgrade to that. One of the ways you can check to see what CUDA you have is type nvcc version. Okay. And it's going to bring up something like this. You can see I've got CUDA 12.6. Now I had 12.8, but I downloaded for some personal reasons. It doesn't really matter though. Okay. You can, if this is 12.6, 12.8, you're fine. If this says like 11.8, you need to update. If it says 12.4, it'll work, but you're going to have to change some stuff that we're doing. Okay. So my suggestion is to update your CUDA. Okay. At any rate, let's get on. What if we type dir, you're going to see that we created this folder called Wan2.1. So this is the folder that's going to have our requirements file and this in here. But before we do that, we need to go ahead and create a virtual environment because we're going to be installing some stuff that we don't want to get it into our base system. Remember, a virtual environment, what it does is it protects both. It's like putting a blanket on the ground and having a picnic, okay? It keeps the ground off your picnic, keeps your picnic off the ground, okay? So it works both ways, right? It's cause and effect, right? There's a causal relationship here that goes both ways. So we don't want to pollute our base system with stuff that we don't want in there, but we also don't want our project we're working on to get polluted from what's going on our base environment. So we're going to use a Conda virtual environment for this. The different, there's Conda environments and there's Python virtual environments. I like Python virtual environments because they're just easy to use. They're right in the directory. They're clean. Okay. But the difference with it is that whatever version Python you have. If I type Python version, you'll see I've got 3.1011. Whatever version Python you have, when you create a Python virtual environment by doing something like this, it will use the one you have. So if you've got Python 3.11 or 3.12, God forbid, in there, it's going to create a virtual environment according to that version. Okay. I don't know what versions you have. And so to avoid issues, what we do is we're going to create a Conda virtual environment. We're going to name it, let's just call this Wan. And what we could do with many Conda virtual environments is that we can set the Python we want. So even if we had a different Python up here, we can actually create a mini Conda with the version we need. And we need this one for the acceleration stuff that we're going to be using. So I'm going to type Conda create -- name. So I'm calling the Conda app. I'm telling it I want to create a virtual environment. I'm giving a parameter saying I'm about to tell you the name. We get ready. Okay. Okay. Here's the name. It's Wan. Okay. Then we're going to say also, by the way, I want you to, do it with Python 3 equals 2.11. So it's like being in a restaurant saying, hey, hey, waitress, I'm going to order a cheeseburger. Okay. And I want the double deluxe. Oh, and by the way, put some bacon on it. Okay. So that's kind of what we're doing there. And I'm going to put a -y just to say, you don't have to check with me. So I'd be like, hey, and don't bother asking me no other questions. I'm just going to work on my crossword. Right. So, it's just going to do it without checking with you. So it goes through here. It's going to create it. You see it's solving environment. It's done. Okay. It's going to download all this stuff. And we twiddle our thumbs, work on the crossword puzzle, which, by the way, I've never been good at crossword puzzles. I'm more like a word search kind of a guy. All right. Now it's created, so we have to activate it, right? So we could bring a blanket for a picnic, but the blanket doesn't do any good unless we lay it out. So in the same way, we have to activate it. So we're going to say Conda activate Wan, and it's going to go ahead and activate it. Now, whatever we install into this, it's going to go ahead and put it in the virtual environment instead of our base system. Okay, so now the first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure we get our CUDA toolkit installed. So remember, we've got our CUDA installed, which we can see which version we have by typing ndcc-version. Okay. But now we need to get the CUDA toolkit, and we're going to be using the CUDA toolkit 12.6. Okay, I'm going to show you the parameter, but or what to type, but let's go find it online really quick. And here's how you can find it. Go to your Google thing, type Conda install CUDA toolkit 12. And you're going to find this page here, CUDA toolkit Conda install. So let's scroll down here, and it has a whole list of them. And we're going to find the one that says 12.6. And actually, let's really quickly see what version we have over here. It says 12.6.R12.6. Okay. Well, let's go see what they got over here. We could probably grab any of these ones. Let's grab this one. I tried this one. Let's just highlight it and copy it. Okay. Notice, even if you have 12.8, don't grab the 12.8 because we're going to be needing to install Torch later. And there is no Torch for 12.8. There's a Torch for 12.6. So we're going to highlight that, press Control-C, go back to our command line. Okay. And where did we go? Oh, there we go. I had multiple command lines there, so I got lost. Now I'm just going to hit V. So we're in our virtual environment. You can tell because that's over there. We're going to say Conda. We're calling the waitress again. I want you to install something. I want you to bring me some coffee now. Okay. And, but this is the coffee I want. This is the exact version that I want. Okay. But I forgot to show you something before. Well, we can go ahead and do this. Okay. Let's just hit enter. You might get an error because it needs to know what to install. So it's kind of like in Star Trek. They go over there and Jean-Luc Picard says, hey, get me some Earl Grey tea or something like that. The system has to know where to get that. Okay. So there is it's called a catalog. Now, so just like in Star Trek, those replicators, they have to have it programmed in there to know it. Same way when we're using Conda, it needs to know where to go find these stuff. sometimes when we're installing this package of the CUDA toolkit, you might get an error saying that it doesn't know where to find it. Okay. And if that's the case, here's what you need to do. So if that's the case, okay, if you get an error saying that it can't find this package, okay, we have to update the catalog. And here's how we're going to do it. Just click over back to your browser, go over to a new tab and just type in cogni build.ai. All right. It's going to bring you to my website here. You can just click on the blog. Okay. And over here, you're going to see something that says updating Conda catalog to install CUDA toolkit 12.6. Okay. What you would do is just copy each one of these commands. So call Conda config, and then it says add to the channels NVIDIA, add to this Conda Forge. So what it does is it's saying, like, if we're like, say I call up a business and I say, I need this particular item, a specialty item that you have. And they say, well, do we even have that? Well, let me check the system. There's I don't see it in the system, but let me check our subsystem over here, because we have another catalog that is not accessed by the main computer. Oh, there it is. So this is like doing that. You're saying a very specific catalog, not just your one. Look over here. Okay. And so by doing this, it will update your Conda catalog, and then it will go ahead and when you run your install command like we did over here, then when you run this, it will go. Okay, so I'm going to hit CLS to clear my screen. Okay, clear screen, clear mind, and we're going to now want to install our requirements. But okay, so to do that, we need to get into our directory here. So notice if I type dir, that shows me the directory. We created this when we get cloned. So I'm going to type cd Wan2.1. It's going to take us in here. Now, if I type dir again, we're going to see all these files. And here's our requirements.txt. But I'm going to tell you, we need to edit this thing because we're using our NVIDIA stuff. We're going to need to install a particular thing of Torch for this. And so this is going to just have like a generic plain one in there that doesn't have the extra stuff. Okay. So it's it's just the burger, no cheese, no onion, no bacon on top. So we need to fix this a little bit so that then later on we can add what we want to it. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to type the word notepad. That's going to open up my notepad app. And then what do I want to open up? I want to open up the requirements.txt file. And that will look like this. So this is the file. So now I'm going to go in here and notice it's installing Torch and Torch Vision, but it's not installing it with CUDA. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete that. Okay. Then I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to see that it's installing Flash Attention. Now, Flash Attention is not going to work if you install it just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that because this is actually written for Linux. Flash Attention will work directly out of Linux, but we're going to have to do some special stuff. So what I did, we deleted the Torch, okay, and we deleted the Flash Attention. Then I'm going to go to File and I'm going to click Save, or I'm going to hit Control S. Now I can close this out, go back to my command line, and now we can install those dependencies, knowing that it's not going to install those things. I can install those things afterwards. Okay. We get errors if we ran this as it is. So let's type, let's go here and let's type pip. So this is our Python package installer, kind of like using Conda install. We're going to say pip install. And I'll put a -r, which means install from a file. If I didn't put that, and say I just put if I put requirements.txt, it would go look for an app called requirements.txt and say, well, I don't have it there. I don't see an app called requirements.txt. Well, yeah, that's because it's not an app, it's a file. So we're going to put -r, and it's going to say, instead of just going and looking in the catalog for it, get it from this file. Okay. So let's go ahead, pip install -r requirements.txt, where we know that we're in our virtual environment because it says that right there. And yep. All right. So now we can just hit enter and it's going to roll through all of this and it's going to install everything for us. Then when we're done, we're going to get into installing the stuff that we didn't have before. So I'm going to hit pause. This will take a little bit of time and we'll be right back. Okay. And we're done. And you'll notice we had a little error here, but don't worry about that. This is inconsequential for what we are trying to do. So now we're going to go ahead and let's get our let's go ahead and get our acceleration installed. So we're going to install Sage Attention, then we're going to install Flash Attention, and then we're going to install our Triton, which kind of holds the things together. Okay, so to do this, though, we're going to go ahead and pop back over to our browser, and let's go back to the blog page here. And if you click on the blog, you're going to see one here that says installing Flash Attention, Triton, Sage Attention. So let's click there. Now, I want to point out here that this is going to be dependent on having 3.10.11, and you need to be having a CUDA 12 installed on there. Again, we're using 12.6, so you probably just use that. So the first thing we're going to do is a really easy one. We're going to just copy this pip install Sage Attention. So let's go back over to our command line, and you're going to notice that we are in our virtual environment. So I'm just going to type pip install. That's our package installer, Sage Attention. Okay, it's going to really easily get that and done. Okay, that's great. This would not work if you didn't have CUDA 12. So now going back to our browser, again, let's grab the next one. And this one's a little bit more complicated. Looks like I put a parentheses. I'll have to fix this. So just go ahead and get it without that paren at the end. And let's copy this. And this one is going to be similar. I can move this over here so I don't keep losing it. All right. Then over here, we're going to paste this in, and we're going to do the same thing, pip install, but we're going to install from a directory, from a URL, and it's this URL. But I want you to notice that, notice part just says CP310. This is why we need Python 3.10. This is a prepackaged wheel that is going to install your Flash Attention, but it's built for a certain system. Now, when you're installing these things, we could build, what happens is you have to build this stuff. It's kind of like going to IKEA and saying, hey, I want to order a Flash Attention. They say, okay, here's all the parts. Then you got to go home and put it together. I am telling you that if you try to build Flash Attention on your own for whatever your system is, you can do it, but it will take hours. It is a very long process. So instead, what you do is you can go out and find what's called a wheel, where someone has already built it, but they built it for a particular system, which means that if your system is not running the same stuff that they were running when they created it, it will not work. So system uniformity is important at this point, which is why we've been focusing on making sure that we have Python 3.10 and all this other stuff going on there. So we're going to put this in here, and we're going to have our Python 3.10, but we're fine because we installed Conda with 3.10. Okay, we installed our virtual environment, with 3.10. So we're fine. We're going to go ahead, hit this, and this is going to just take moments instead of literally hours. So that's going to download, goes ahead and installs. Okay, and it's done. All right, like minutes instead of hours. I'm telling you, it's a long process to build this on your own. So let's, if you truly need to use a different Python, you just have to modify these instructions, and you would have to go out. What I would do is copy the, whoops, dang it. Okay, I would copy this file name, and where's that? Anyway, whatever. I'd copy the file name, and then I would Google it and then find a version that worked. So, but if you follow my instructions, this is all gravy. So let's click back to our browser, and the last thing we need to install is our Triton. Okay, so we're going to copy this, and you're going to notice that it looks similar to what we did with the other one. Pip install, and we're installing from a URL. Same thing. You'll notice it's a Python 3.10 version. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and enter. And same thing. It's going to download this bad boy. It's just a small one, though. Just a small bad boy. And there it is. It's installed. So we have installed our acceleration. So pat yourself on the back. This was very difficult just a few months ago. It's so easy now. And that's the great thing about all this AI stuff, is it just gets better and better. And that's why community actually is so important, because the more people get involved with this, more people are putting utilities out for people, tools out for people, the easier it gets. Okay, now what we're going to do, we've got our acceleration set up. Now we need to set up our torch and our torch vision. If you remember, we deleted it from the requirements.txt because it wasn't what we needed. So what we're going to do is go back to our browser, and now we're going to do a search for torch install. Okay, and it's going to bring up this page to start locally from PyTorch. And click here. We're going to scroll down, and then notice this CUDA 11.8. We're going to grab 12.6. Okay, notice there is no 12.8, which is why we're using, even if our factory is 12.8, we're using the road 12.6. So we're going to use 12.6, and I'm going to highlight all this, but I'm going to leave this pip3 stuff behind. I'm going to copy this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to my command line. And I'm going to type pip. Okay, pip3 is just another version of pip, but it might download something that it just gets confused. Just use pip. Okay, and then we're going to paste this in here. But notice we don't need torch audio. Okay, all we needed was the torch vision. So I'm going to use my left arrow, go over there and just delete that. So it's going to pip install, and then we can put multiple apps in here. I mean, I could add Gradio, diffusers, whatever. And it will just go one at a time. But we're going to install Torch and Torch Vision. And then we're giving it a parameter saying, don't just install them, because that's what our requirements.txt was doing, was saying, hey, just install Torch Vision. It goes, oh, just find what I got and just get it. Say, no, we need a very specific one. Okay. Again, it's like calling a shop and saying, hey, listen, I need this certain widget. And they go, oh yeah, we got widgets. I go, no. I need a specifically tooled widget. Okay. So, get it from this shop over here. All right. Because they make them particular. Like there's a difference that I need. Okay. A normal widget is not going to work. I need this one. So by putting this index URL in there, it tells it to say, get the Torch and Torch Vision, but get it from this place. It has tooled it correctly for us. And it's the CUDA 12.6. So now we'll go ahead and hit enter, and it's going to go through this. This will take a little bit of time because Torch and Torch Vision always takes a long time. It's a big install. Okay, again, it has to build. It's kind of IKEA stuff. So we will leave this here, let this install, and we'll be right back. And then we're pretty much almost done. We just got a few more things to do. Okay, so after that it is installed, we are groovy. We've got a few more things that we need to do. We're going to install, I'm going to hit CLI. Okay, we're going to install what's called the Hugging Face command line interface. So that way we can download the models we need. And also we can run this from command line. I'm going to show you how to do this both in command line and with the Gradio app. So next thing we're going to do is this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to type this one, just kind of follow my direction. And we're going to go to pip install Hugging Face -hub. Okay. And we're going to do a couple different things. We're going to do this one like this. And it's going to go ahead and install. Then what we can do is we can press the up arrow to do the same thing, but then we're going to add a bracket and we're going to type CLI, and then we're going to close off that bracket. So now it's going to say we've installed Hugging Face Hub, but also I want you to install the command line interface parts with it. Okay. Now we're going to be able to interact with the directions that the repository has for us. Okay. So at this point, we've done the installation. So now we're going to get into downloading the models. Okay. We're going to get into downloading the models. We're going to get into running the Gradio app, and we're going to get into running it on the CLI. So I'm going to stop the camera here. Let's take this a good moment for you to take a break, go get a glass of water, and then we'll come back and move on to the next step. Okay. So let's move on with doing the model downloading. Now this gets, I don't want to say it's confusing, but you can end up accidentally downloading these models multiple times in multiple places with what we're about to do. And we don't want to do that because they're big and they take a long time to download. So follow my instructions here fairly closely, and we will we'll get these to where they need to go. So let's click back over to our browser, and here's our model downloads. Again, we're just going to work with the text-to-video 1.3b with the Gradio app here and the command line. These other ones, unless you've got multiple GPUs, they're just not going to work. I'm sorry. Like, you need to use your CUDA. So we're going to use this one. Okay. And I want to show you something down here. We're going to be scrolling down to, like, here's a single GPU interference. So we're going to use this just to run everything in our command line at some point. Okay. And then we're going to also scroll down here, and you're going to see running our local Gradio. And so what we want to do, these things, they all download the stuff into the different places. So like I said, we need to make sure they're in the right place. So before we get in that, we're going to go back up here and we're going to just right click on here where it says the TextToVideo 1.3, and we're going to choose the hugging face, and it's going to pop us over to this page here. Okay, so this is a specific page you'll see for 1.3b. So we're going to scroll down. Notice it has your basic installation instructions. We've done all this. And then it has us doing what we just did, this pip installing our Hugging Face hub. And here's the thing that we're going to need. This is the command we're going to need. We're going to call that command line interface Hugging Face hub, and we're going to tell it to download the model. Okay. And then this over here is telling it where we want it to install to. That dot means in this directory. Now, because we're going to be wanting to use the Gradio app, we're going to download this in the Gradio app folder itself, because otherwise we got to get into changing a whole bunch of commands later on. So what we're going to do, I'm not going to hit this. If I hit this copy, it'll copy everything. All I'm going to do is highlight this one, right click and go copy, or press Control-C. Now, if we pop over to our command line, I'm going to hit CLS to clear my screen. If I type dir, and I'm going to press / and an AD, that means just show me all directories. Okay. So it'll skip all the single files. You're going to see we've got a folder here called Gradio. This is where the files are that we're going to end up running for our Gradio app. So let's go into there, type change directory, CD Gradio. Now, if I type dir, you're going to see that these are the apps that we're going to be using. We're not going to be able to you can play with these if you want. They're going to do massive downloads, like 70 gigabyte downloads, and they're not going to work for you. But we're going to do this one here. Okay. And what we're going to do is, since we're already in this directory, we're going to hit our Control-V, and now it's going to call that Hugging Face CLI that we downloaded, say download, get this folder, okay, and put it here. And it's going to create a folder called Wan2.1 TTV13B. Oops. Let me get this out of the way so you can see. Sorry, keep getting that into the way. All right. So there you're going to see it's going to download there. So let's go ahead and press enter from inside our Gradio app folder. And this will start and it'll go through, and this is going to take a while. This one's not as bad because I think it's like, I don't know. What is this one? 3 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes, but it's kind of a slow download. The other ones, I'm telling you, they're huge. So we're going to definitely hit pause on this and let this download. And it's going to take me, I've got fast. See, it's not always just about how fast your internet is. It's how fast the server is. Right? So the server is serving out the, the files. So it's like the cook could get it done fast, right? But you still got to get the waitress to get in. She's like hobbling around there having a smoke break, or, doing a million other tables. It takes a long time to get the food, even if it's cooked, right? So the server is a bit slow here. It takes, it's not coming through in rapid, fast fashion. So you got to wait on it, which is why I'm going to hit the pause button. Okay, and that downloaded now. Notice mine came up all messy. Sometimes it does this for some reason. You're not sure. Is it done? Just press some keys. You go, oh, okay, it's typing. It's done. So let's check CLS to clear that nonsense out of there. Now, if we type dir, you're going to see that it has a new folder here, this Wan2.1 TextToVideo. So we are ready to go. So what we're going to do here is first, let's run this in the command line, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and run it as a Gradio app. So to run it as command line, let's go back over to our browser. And now we're in this tab here. This was the one that we downloaded the Gradio app model in. So let's click back to our other one. Let's scroll down and let's get into this run text to video generation. Now we're going to look for this single GPU inference. Okay. So we want this whole line. We can just hit this copy. But I'm going to show you that we have to change something up here first. So what we'll do is we'll go back to command line. I'm going to type CD, change directory. I'm going to put dot, dot. That means go back one directory. I'm going to put us back into here. And the reason is because we need to be using this generate.py file. So we need to be in the same folder. Okay. Now I'm going to hit Control V. Now I want you to notice a few things. Let's go. I'm going to use my left arrow because we're going to change some stuff up. So we're going to use Python. So Python is our, it is our code interpreter, our translator. So it reads .py files and it translates it so that Windows knows what to do, or the machine knows what to do. And so that's our generate.py file. We're going to say task. Okay, we have to change this. So T2V-4B, 14B, we're not using the 14B, so we need to change this to 1.3B, right? Then we're going to say size. We need to change this because this will be too big. And let's go back over here to our browser. We need to figure out what the size is for this. So I'm going to click back over to this browser. Let's look at their, oh, okay, 830, you can see down here, 832 by 480. So let's go back here and let's change this. Okay. For 832 by 480. The bigger thing will not work on your system. So we're setting to change the size. Now we're going to say the checkpoint directory. Now this is where it's going to be looking at that folder we just downloaded. But remember, it's in the Gradio thing. So dot means this folder. We're going to type in Gradio. That's the name of the directory. Then we're going to put another /. And then we got to change out this name because we didn't download it. It's going to look for the folder, but that's not the folder we have. We have this folder, T2V-1.3B. So let's go ahead and change this. And we'll just make sure that it's the same. Wan2.1, Wan2.1-T2V-1.3B. Okay, then we can put prompts. Got 2 anthropomorphic cats and comfy boxing gear and bright gloves fighting intensely on a spotlight stage. Okay, so let's go ahead and press enter. Now, I'm going to have to stop this video because it is resource intensive to do this, and I have all this other AI stuff going on. So this is going to work though. Oh, actually, we got to do one other thing that I forgot that would have set us up for failure. We have to set a save file. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. So we need to go over here and we need to add this command. Let's go. Left thing I typed in here before and I did it wrong just to make sure that but we're going to go like this. We're going to go -- save _ file, and then just give it a name. Okay. So unfortunately, when you're doing it on command line, you have to change this every time. The reason we didn't do this is the way this app, there's an error in the app. It will do all the generation and not save it. So you need to put -- save file, _ file. Okay. And then we've got our checkpoint directory, got all this, and we're going to go ahead and run it. So I'll go ahead and run this. And I'm going to have to pause the video, and then we'll come back to it, and we'll see what we got going. All right, and that has finished up. Now, that would normally take about a minute and a half. It took a little bit longer because I'm running all this other AI software. But you can see it finished, generated. And if we type dir, and let's put a start on MP4. So that start just means we don't care what the first part of the file is, as long as it ends with MP4. And we're going to see there is test1.mp4. So let's just type that in there. And that will load it up. So let's get over here so we can see it. And that is what we created. So that's pretty good. I almost like that better than the first one I did. Hey-oh. Check that out. So that was all using your command line interface. So if you wanted to use the command line interface again, what you would do is just same thing. Just make sure you're in a virtual environment. Damn, where are we at? And then you would run this. So what I would suggest doing is copying all this, highlighting it, pressing Control-C, and then putting that in a file somewhere so that you could use it. And then you would just go change your prompt, everything, and prompt change your testing. So you got it going on the CLI. Good job. Okay. This will probably run a little faster than the Gradio app. But let's hop on into the Gradio app now. Okay. So to do that, we're going to hit over back to our browser. Okay. And for this one, let's do down to here. Okay. We're going to scroll down to where it says running local Gradio. And we're going to see, again, we got to change some stuff out. It's got this API key. So that's because with the prompt enhancer, you can connect to a large language model or an LLM online. We're not going to do that. Okay. They're using this thing called dash scope. So I'm going to go down to here without prompt extension. All right. And I'm going to highlight this, but now notice I want to notice it's going to be, we're going to have to change some stuff out again because it's still using the wrong tasks. And I also want you to notice how it's got prompts that are in here that are in Chinese. Now, the people that made this are Chinese, and they've created this model so that it understands Chinese prompts. It can understand English prompts. And so that's kind of an issue, not really, except for that sometimes if you're working with this, you might end up with some Chinese that you don't understand. And at that point, Google Translate is your best friend. But what we're going to do is we're just going to actually, let's go to this one, this running local Gradio. And this is going to be the easiest way to do it. We're going to not bother with this dash API thing. What we are going to do is grab it from right here. Okay. And we're going to have to make some changes, like I said, but we're going to highlight this, copy that, and then let's go back over to our command line. Let's get rid of this. Let's type CLS to clear our screen. Okay. Now I want to paste this. Whoops. Okay. So that happened because I grabbed an extra space. So let's go back over here, make sure that we got a clean copy of this. So let's just grab this here. I'm going to start from the right to the left. That way I can make sure I don't have extra space. And we'll go back to command line. Okay. Now, there's a few things we have to change. Obviously, again, okay, so we're using Python. We're going to be calling a file. So actually, before I do this, let me show you this. We got to do this. We got to go CD. We got to go Gradio, make sure we're in our folder. Okay, that was something we forgot to do. And we're going to be running this file. TTV underscore 14B. And then we're going to be getting our models from here. Or not 14B. We got TTV 13B. Sorry. Okay. Now we're going to hit paste. Now we're going to have to use our left arrow and we're going to have to change the file that we're running. So we can see we don't have to change single GPU because that's all the same. But we are going to need to go over here, change this to T2V. Then we'll change this to 1.3B. Okay, and then notice it says underscore single GPU PLY, so we're fine. Now let's get rid of this prompt extend method, okay, because we're not using an API. Now, here's the directory it's going to be looking for. So checkpoint directory 480p, that's good. That's what we're going to need, okay? But notice the directory name is not the same as this. So we need to go over here and change this again. Put a capital T there. 1.3B. And then we'll go here. Okay. Now, if we do this, we're going to hit enter, and now it's going to go ahead and it's going to load this file here, and it's sending it parameters saying that, listen, find the models for the 480p that we're going to be using, find them in here. Okay, so it says it actually doesn't recognize an argument. So let's go up here, and I think let's change this. Let's just change the checkpoint directory. Do that. Okay, as then it's going to go in there, and it's going to find this one. There we go. So now it's loading the checkpoint shards. So like the different, like Zelda, right? Like in Zelda, you got to find the heart shards, and then we get all this. Get a new heart thing. So it's the same way. It's just loading these bits of the model at a time. and it's got to initialize. This always takes a little bit of time. This is where it's loading stuff into your memory. This is why your VRAM is important, because it doesn't use your typical computer memory. So if you're like, hey, I got, like all this memory. Okay, well, that's great. But AI uses video memory, not just your normal CPU, RAM memory. So this can take a little while, especially the first time you run it. So I'm going to hit pause, because I'm not sure, this could take a minute. It could take two or more. But we will be right back when it's done. Now, and how do you like that? Literally, I clicked the pause button and then it came up. And I actually popped up with a thing that said, do you want to allow this to use your network? So I just clicked allow. So I want to point out here that it brought up the address, but it's got zeros on there. So that's because basically it's set up so that you can share it over a network. Like you could set it up so that you can use it on your phone. And when you're doing that, it uses zeros. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to our browser. We're going to paste this in here, but notice you'll get a site can't be reached. So what we do is we just change, if you ever see these zeros, you just change it with 127.0.0.1, which is the local machine. And there you have it. In fact, I'll show you really quickly how to change this in the future so that you don't have to do that every time. But here you go. Notice it's got Chinese here, English, okay? Now you can do a couple things. So I could say a dog walking a person on a leash. Now, I could click this prompt enhance, and what it's going to do is it's going to hit a local language model and it's going to enhance it. But here's the thing. Because we're not using that dash scope thing that it had on there, it's going to download the model onto your computer and run it. So it's going to be another big download. Okay. And if you don't have 16 or 24 gigabytes of VRAM, it's going to take forever to load. Okay. So my suggestion is not to use the prompt enhance unless you've got a machine that works with it. So I've got a 4090, 24 gigabytes of VRAM. It works great. But when I press this, it still takes over a minute, maybe two to run. It's about a minute to run. So it's not a fast click and get it done. But here we got the dog working on a person or a leash. Notice it's going to give us the different dimensions. Now, the only two that really are going to matter are these top two. It has these other ones in there. You can play with them if you want. I don't think they're going to work, but you can play with them. And if you get too high, they're going to bust. But you play with them. In fact, I'll try one here. Let's click something smaller than that, though. Let's try, let's try that 544x7. Okay, now I want you to notice this. This is set quite high. Diffusion steps means how many times it's going to go over it. This will take you a very long time. I would suggest starting with 10. 10 is a good one to test. Then if you want to get high quality stuff, put it up to 30. You really don't need to go 50. 50 is way too high. So start with 10. Your seed, that's set to random. So negative prompt, you could do things like, I always like putting malformed, deformed, weird. Okay, so those things we want to avoid, all right? And then go ahead and click the generate button. So I'll go ahead and stop the video again here so that we can run this. I'm not going to run the prompt enhance because I don't want to spend the time doing it, but you can play with it if you want. And let's go ahead and see how this works.
Really quickly, I do want to show you over here on your command line. Once you click generate, you can tell it's working because this will actually pop through there. And I turned off a bunch of AI stuff, so the quality of this video might have gone down a bit, but you notice it's actually going through there pretty fast. But this is how you can tell things are working.
Okay, and it got done and actually did use that other dimension, so spot on. Now, this is not going to be the highest quality because we did low steps and didn't quite get what we wanted. It probably thought, see, a dog walking a person, probably thought we messed it up. If we had typed something like an anthropomorphic dog walking on 2 feet, the dog has a person on a leash, person is walking on all fours. That probably would have worked a little bit better. And let's go ahead and try it, see how it does. Let's click generate video. See that fast? Now I turned back on my AI stuff, so this might go a bit slower. We can go back over to our command line. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to turn some of this stuff off. But you'll see, that's how you can kind of tell how things are running. But we'll pause this. I'll turn off my AI stuff. We'll be right back. Okay, and we're back with another video. Notice this one didn't get it either. Oh my God, what was that? Yeah. So a lot of this has to do with prompting. So what I would, oh, that's hilarious. What the heck is that? Probably what I would do if I really wanted to get this going is I would grab this. I would go over to Chat GPT and I would say, help me to clarify this prompt for a video generator. Or you could try the enhancer on there. Okay. And Chat GPT would give you more of a thing. So that would probably work. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and bother doing it again with you on here, but you can see how to do that. Okay. Lastly, I told you I would show you how to fix the issue about it opening up to 0.0.0.1. So let's do that really quick. Let's go back to our command line. And I'm going to hit Control-C to cancel out of this Gradio app. So I'm going to type CLS. Okay. Now, if I type dir, you're going to see there was our file that we used. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. I'm going to hit Control-C, and then I'm going to go back to typing Notepad, and then I'm going to paste that in there by pressing Control-V. That is going to open up this. And what we can do here is make this so you can see it, first of all. Okay. I'm going to just go ahead and scroll all the way to the bottom. And you're going to see down here, it says demo launch, server name 0.0. So we're just going to change this 127.0.0.1. And then I'm going to hit Control S. I'm going to close that out. And then now, next time we run our command here, then it'll go ahead and it will open up to 127.0.0.1. So we don't have to do that. Okay. So last thing I would say is go ahead. Remember to when you load this thing, you always have to be in your virtual environment. To do that, you're going to, from here on out, you're going to type Conda activate WAN. Okay. Then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to get into the directory and you're going to need to run this command. So what I would do is create a bat file that does all of the stuff that you do by manual. And that way you just click it. It will activate your virtual environment. It'll get you into the directory and it'll run this. I'm going to leave that there. I'm not going to show you how to do it because, you know, it's like a chick trying to break out of an egg, right? If you just crack the egg all the time, the chick ain't going to get strong. You know, its wings will be weak. It'll be a sickly little bird. No, I don't want you guys to be sickly little birds. You're going to figure this out. It's a real easy one. I do have a video on how to create a bat file, but it's really not that difficult. Use Chat GPT, create a bat file, activate your virtual environment, CD Wan2.1, CD Gradio, Python, this command. Okay. And then when you click on that, from there on, it will run everything for you. Okay. So we're going to leave it there for you. Hopefully you have learned something good. Wan2.1 is so cool. It is such excellent. So we have really turned a corner here. Okay. So thanks for being part of this. If you did find this helpful, feel free hitting that thanks button down there and buying me a super sticker that helped to put some money in my pocket. I do this full time so that I can be there for you guys. And I am here for you guys. So come find us on Discord. Come find us on the Reddit. Be part of our Get Going Fast. Check out the Jim Day and the Better Stories music, whatever you want. Be part of the community and come, more importantly, share what you're working on. We would love to be part of what you're dreaming about as well. So in the meanwhile, you guys hang in there, be good. And as always, we'll catch you on the other side. Yo.